Oh my god, dude, welcome back to the show. It's another week. It's a new episode of Screen Preach for episode 62. 62. Oh god. And now I'm looking at my phone. This is one of those moments when I'm looking at my phone, which is my camera these days, and it's not quite... God, I hope it is. Anyway, how we doing? Welcome back. And this is the week. This is the week we really been looking for, at least I've been looking forward to, because finally, you know what I couldn't believe that it's actually been 2 years since seeing a Marvel movie in theaters. Can you fucking believe that? Because we lost all of 2020, but before COVID even happened, we were waiting for the next Marvel movie. I think, Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home is the last one we saw in the theater. So, yeah, literally a full 2 fucking years. That was July of 2019. That's crazy, man. Anyway, we finally made it. We're here. We're back. And it took, time, but God, was it worth it to be in a fucking theater. The energy was just top notch. And, yeah, we're here. And apologies for the fuckery bullshit last week on my part, okay? Had to wear my glasses, but didn't realize I probably should have rearranged my set and should have done some testing and whatever. Went and watched it afterwards, was editing it, and I couldn't fucking believe the glare in my glasses. Oh my god, was it bad. So bad. It's my first time actually wearing contacts in almost 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks in a couple days. Yeah, it's so much different than the glasses. Anyway, what's going on? How we doing? What have I been watching? The same stuff. Still on a few different shows, all kind of in the same genre. Superhero cinema is like my thing right now for entertainment, which I've noticed isn't probably helping my where I want my mind space to be when I'm working on what I'm working on right now, which it's not at all in that genre at all. So it's better to be watching. It just helps me creatively if I'm watching stuff that are in the same genre as the stuff I'm writing. And right now I'm doing they're two different things, so it's not probably helping, but it also doesn't really matter that much, but it does kind of a little bit. I don't know. Yeah. Little late here tonight. It's 12 o'clock because movie theater. The whole movie theater thing. You gotta go, you gotta get there at a certain, you want to get there, and then they got the previews, and then it's the whole thing. You gotta go there too, and then you gotta come back. So it's like by the time it's a 3-hour thing, and then I couldn't get an earlier showing, and I also have to work a certain amount of hours, so I couldn't leave work early. So it's fucking midnight. It's not even Friday night anymore. It's Saturday morning, and here we go. But what is the difference? What's the difference? I don't sleep anyway. Basically. I don't sleep. Because sleep is the cousin of death. But yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to do a little different order this week, because it does kind of feel like a, second Marvel special episode kind of thing that we're doing here. Normally I would do the whole Loki recap first, but we'll do the news first, get it out of the way, and we'll kind of just brush through. It wasn't a lot of stuff this week. Wasn't anything really crazy this week. So we'll just go through the news, just some updates real quick. So we'll do the news of the week right now, and then, we will do our kind of... That's why I'm wearing the shirt. That's why I'm doing this shirt thing, because, also, thank you to the few people who... There were a few people who had some suggestions for what the next, season of the season or season of fist. I don't know what I call it. Chapter of the season. I don't know what. Where we switch up the set again. But I like the idea that my brother had, so I'm gonna do that. It's just my top two movies behind me, and it's that's hard. It's always my favorite movie of all time is always going to be my favorite movie of all time. But then after that, it's kind of a list of things in no particular order, so it kind of is just always changing, right? Goodfellas is my all-time favorite, will never change. But right now, I'm feeling Django Unchained for number two, so those are going to be the two. And but it's always it's like that with like even like anything music. Like I just kind of have like sometimes I don't even have the one that's my all-time favorite. That maybe it's just a bunch that are in no particular order. Like my favorite rappers are like that. It's like just like or my favorite bands or it's kind of just. But movies, 100%. Goodfellas, and then it could be anything in this particular top 15 or whatever it is. They kind of just sometimes Reservoir Dogs is number 2 on my list. Sometimes The Fighter is number 2 on my list. I love that fucking movie, The Fighter with Wahlberg and Christian Bale. Sometimes it's Wolf of Wall Street. Sometimes it's Godfather. Sometimes it's a Marvel movie. Sometimes it's just Empire Strikes Back. Sometimes it's The Dark Knight. Like I can't order it. I can't really, because those are all masterful. All right, they're all. But right now. Yeah, like I said. So, let's do the news of the week. Let's get this episode rolling. I'm excited to talk about it. Really excited to talk about it. I just saw it. So, just saw it a few hours ago. So, I can't wait to. Low-key, it's tough because I like I've mentioned, it's Wednesday now. And then I got to kind of bring myself back into that space and remember what I really took away from it. But yeah. I've kind of had to prompt again to help me out here a little bit. So what did we have? I mean, I'll start with the thing that I posted about because it was kind of the most important thing I saw. There's this thing about Larry David kind of being done with Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? He's going to do one more season and be done, according to Jeff Garlin, that he could only have one season left in him. But with Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm, he kind of just does it when he wants to. Like, when he's feeling it, that's when he does it, So that's what it is always. It's like he could take a long break and then come back again for all I don't know. We'll see if it is done. Good fucking run regardless. That's just a great fucking comedy, always has been. So yeah, there's that. I love what Taika Waititi said today. He gave us an update. So that was just in today. Thor Love and Thunder update. He said the movie's so wild it almost shouldn't be made, right? It's so wild it's almost like it shouldn't be made. What the fuck is going on in this one, man? I can't wait to see that. I've said it. That might be my most anticipated film. Of the movies, that's my most anticipated. The Witcher Season 2 finally announced a premiere date. Dropped a little trailer. I didn't pull up when the premiere date actually is. Okay, cool. I could pull it up, but I want to keep this moving because I want to get to our topics because I'm just too into what we're talking about. I'm too into what it is. I'm still thinking about the movie. Obviously, I just enjoyed it. I really, we're gonna keep this going here. All right, let's go. Let's go here. Robert Downey Jr. Sr. died. No, that does not work. That's not how you say that. I'm just so used to saying Robert Downey Sr. died. Robert Downey Jr.'s father. And he was in the business, too. He was a director. Yeah, he passed away. That was just something that I noticed because Robert Downey Jr. Rest in peace. I'm not laughing at that. I can't believe I just said Robert Downey Jr. All right. Yeah, Downey posted about it. Zack Snyder said his next movie with Netflix. Hey, they've been good to him, you know. Warner Brothers fucked him over a lot with shit, you know, and Netflix lets him do what he wants, and now he's gonna do this kind of big sci-fi epic called Rebel Moon, which is like his Star Wars, you know? It's his like big sci-fi adventure movie. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. Is Hugh Jackman teasing his return? This was a big thing this week. Everybody was talking about this because he posted a picture with Kevin Feige, and he like posted a picture of the claws. He was like he was trolling. Probably just trolling. But look at what they're doing with everything now. This whole multiverse thing. Like, if Hugh wanted to just pop in, you know, and be like another version of Logan, the version we've known, just like kind of popping in from another reality, he could. That's not out of the. That's totally in the cards, man. Why not? But as for the next era of like our main timeline, right? Our main reality, the one we actually follow. Because if in order for the multiverse to work, you can have stories in other realities, but you really have to set up this and you have to kind of solidify that space for us. Like we have to really be we have to believe and be invested in that other reality. And okay, this is all stuff that takes place in this reality. And so all the reason that all these things are different is because it's a different reality. But for the most part, I just see like other realities kind of being a way to play with things for our main reality. But our main reality is always where the most stories should be told, and it's always where we should come back to. And when it comes to the main timeline of the MCU, there will be a new Logan, Wolverine. There will be a new everybody you ever knew. X-Men characters, Fantastic Four, whatever. There will be new casting for all those characters. Just has to, you know, for it to really work, it has to be like that. But if all the Fox X-Men movies are technically just another reality, they can play with that. And Hugh Jackman can just like pop in, you know, if it's done right, and like it will be so cool to see. Just like the same thing with Spider-Man and like this idea of a live-action Spider-Verse, which now, after watching Into the Spider-Verse, I'm like, dude, I want to see what they do when they do some Spider-Verse live-action storyline here. Like, holy shit, you can totally do this whole... Like, now that I kind of have an idea of how it would feel, not work, but feel after watching Spider-Verse, to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and all the kind of just like all together in like the same movie, like, yes, I could see it. Just, this is no different than that. But don't get your fucking hopes up like, oh, he's gonna be the guy still. Like, just, no, that's not what's going on here, okay? It's trolling. It's teasing a little bit, but it's mostly trolling. Well played, Hugh Jackman. You huge jack man. You huge jacked man. I like to see when there's updates on things from old movies that we just didn't know before. I guess there was a little interview and Stallone kind of revealed something about the original Rocky Balboa script, and it was interesting. So I thought I would bring it up real quick. But in the original script for Rocky Balboa threw the Apollo Creed fight on purpose in a darker script where other events unfolded. Whatever that means, don't know. But I'd like to get I'm a big screenplay reader as much as I'm a movie watcher and a screenplay writer. Reading screenplays is a thing I like to do. And it's good to do as a writer. It's good for you to read them and see how it plays out. It's good to watch and read at the same time. So I do that. But right now, I'm reading The Irishman and watching it at the same time to see how that, translated over. I like to read other versions of things. I loved reading Natural Born Killers, Tarantino's Natural Born Killers. He wrote that movie, and it made me it was great, dude. I'm like, if he had made that himself and not Oliver Stone, it would have been something. It really, that would have really been something. That would have been right in there with his lineup of films as like one of those fucking wild ride, just all around brilliant movies. So I like to read other versions. I got the Star Wars, right? I got George Lucas's original script. I also have the comic adaptation of that. I'll read both, and I love it. I'd love to read this if there's a way to. Yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up. House of the Dragon casted a couple other people. They casted younger versions of characters that have already been announced as being played by very well-known actors, so just more movement there. John Wick Chapter 4 will see the return of Lance Reddick's character, Charon. So that's just, again, more movement on another project I'm looking forward to. The Witcher prequel series at Netflix casts Michelle Yeoh. I think that's Blood Origins or something. What's it called? Blood Oaths. It's called something like that. I still haven't watched The Witcher yet. I'm gonna get to that. Don't worry. I'm gonna be binging that soon. Actually, probably soon. And that's it. See, there wasn't really anything. I don't even think I have a main spotlight this week. So, we'll move on. And when I say we'll move on, you know it, dude. It's just that time. It's just that time. Yeah, so, it kind of, like I said, it kind of feels like a second Marvel special episode. Why is my nose like itchy on the surface of it? What is going on there? Yeah, it's kind of like the Marvel special and a half, the Marvel special 0.5 or something, because we get to kind of like, it's like I get to include the two newest additions into the mix a little bit, and I'm gonna rank both of them. I'm gonna rank Loki too, because even not having seen the sixth yet, I just kind of know where it is for me. And I brought it up last week, and it's just kind of like, and how it moved up my list. And if you remember my list from the special, it's I'm gonna tell you where these two fall in there. So we'll just right off the bat there. Yeah, and so but of course first we have to talk about in depth Loki episode 5, the recap, spoiler filled as usual. What I'm going to do differently this week is not try and have a spoiler filled review of Black Widow. I'm going to actually try to not spoil anything like I normally do. But Loki is spoiler filled, okay? Yeah. And episode 5, it just proves what I thought would be the case with this show as I watched it. It's that every episode gets better. Every episode's better than the next, in my opinion. And literally, I mean, my only problem this week was the utilization of President Loki, a comic book variant of Loki. A variant of Loki from the comics that has like a cool storyline, and like there's a whole thing there, and he just kind of popped in here and was kind of underutilized, just more of a gag really than like an actual character with depth and like an actual purpose, and there was really nothing there except to be used. I guess because the trailer makes you think that there's something there, and that's probably the point of why they threw that in the trailer at all, because it was like a way to throw you off. But with that being said, there's plenty of space for the MCU to work with these variants even going forward. I mean, it could be maybe it's not the last time we see that character. I was just really looking forward to seeing like some malevolent version of Loki again in an antagonistic form, just like as like a way of like just like one more little wild, mischief-filled, malevolent fucking ride, you know. And President Loki could definitely be that ultimate malevolent Loki, and he really could have been like a real threat or a formidable, you know, antagonist, but they just didn't go that route. And that's, you know, it's just seeing like a mean and bad Loki again. Just the reason I say one more time is because I see where they're going now with Loki, and that's what this episode was really about most of all, right? It was about solidifying Loki's arc, and I don't just mean the one we've explored here in this series. I mean his entire arc for the MCU. It's not something that I haven't talked about before. It can still be shaky at times when you think about how we're supposed to accept that this is the Loki from 2012, and we saw what he did in Avengers, the first Avengers movie, and now he's this person, right? It's kind of like his change happening more quickly doesn't always feel right, maybe, but because of the circumstances, it allows for him to change more quickly. He didn't have time to play victim on Asgard in a cell on Asgard like in Thor: The Dark World. He didn't have time to break out of that prison, fake his death, take the throne from his father, team up with his brother again, and then his whole change of heart in Ragnarok and Infinity War. That whole thing, that didn't happen with this Loki, and therefore it had to happen more. His change had to happen more quickly here. But at the same time, what better show for that, right? When you think about it, here is a story where time is a central theme, right? This idea of being out of time, out of your timeline, or not having as much time, or having as much time as you want, or whatever. Like, time comes into play. And so it kind of, ironically, is the perfect kind of story for that quicker change. You know, him developing more quickly by just seeing his fate, just learning his true purpose more quickly allowed for him to change more quickly. So he didn't have to go through all those same things, right? He becomes, in episode 5 here, 100% Loki the hero. Never before seen. Not really. Loki the hero, instead of anti-hero, instead of villain, just kind of, you know, that hero that he was for a brief moment in Ragnarok and in Infinity War with his decision to take on Thanos there in that moment and basically sacrifice himself. You know, it's just now, you know, the way I think about it really is that this Loki is a different Loki. I mean, think about it. This isn't the same Loki at all. It's a totally different Loki. This is a Loki from a broken or a branch reality. It's not the same Loki we knew. The Loki that died is the Loki that died, and here is a variant like any of the other ones. That's really how you want to look at it, you know? This whole storyline has proven that while there may be multiple variations of one person from multiple timelines, they all have their own experiences that make them different from each other. They're the same person, but they're also different people. And this Loki is no different from that. This Loki is every bit the one we knew up until 2012, but not after that. And then he happened to become a hero. That's just what we're seeing is this. We got to kind of revisit a Loki from the past and then watch him change into a hero Just a complete arc in a 6-chapter storyline. Yeah, that's really what we got here, right? Yeah, I mean, that's not to say. I mean, there's also this whole thing now too, especially with old Loki telling us his story and how he has lived as long as he has. Don't ever forget too, gods live longer. They live like 5,000 years, right? Thor will be around because he's a god. Loki will be around because they live longer. So to think that there is an old Loki variant, that Loki had to not die at the hands of Thanos, which they bring up in the episode, which is a really interesting idea. But it also makes you think maybe our Loki, the other Loki, the one we knew for all these years, maybe that Loki didn't actually die at Thanos' hands. It's just that we've seen him pull that trick so many times before. It's like we expect it to not happen again, and he's gonna do that again. This makes the most sense. Let us get to know this Loki, who is both the same Loki and different at the same time. I know it's crazy. And then just we'll follow his story as it goes forward, because now he has changed the idea of what the purpose of a Loki is, what his fate will be, and what his path is, and how, because he decided to not do the same thing. You know, that's just really good writing, honestly. The moment between Loki and Sylvie was built too brilliantly, right? Then, of course, there's a lot of plot being unraveled. And once again, there's a twist. Every episode has a moment, like not really a twist in this case, but just kind of a moment at the end where we get a little. This was more of a cliffhanger. This wasn't a twist. Every other one was kind of like a twist, but this episode was just a cliffhanger. And here we see that there is something at the end of the sacred timeline. There's something there, and that's where the string, the puppeteer is. That's where the person behind everything is. We don't get to see anything else yet, but we will find out next week. This episode did an exceptional job of weaving character development through multiple characters. Right? There's multiple Lokis, and they all have an effect on our protagonist. It managed to both feel like a finale this episode, with its proper pacing and action and setup. It also sets up a clear finale for next week. I think Loki tapping into a power that Sylvie uses. That moment in this episode is kind of like a physical representation of the man he has become, right? Again, this idea of him changing into a hero. His relationship with Sylvie is a test. It's a chance for him to do it right and not betray somebody for once. And that's the difference here. Meeting old Loki and Kid Loki was also essential for, again, setting up other possible courses of action Loki could have been on, where he could do different things in his life. It just kind of shows that, but it also gave us new and unique characters because they are their own characters. And again, Kid Loki is just it's a clear setup for the Young Avengers. Let's just be real about it. They just keep doing it. They just keep setting this up, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I just can't wait to see what happens next week overall. See how this ends. But I mentioned it last week. Loki moved right up my ranks, and it's my favorite of the shows, despite it not being that same. I say that the Falcon and Winter Soldier, that's my favorite cornerstone, that gritty, realistic cornerstone, that political thriller, kind of cornerstone. I like that more, right? But yet still, Loki has moved above that for me. And it's the new number 11 on my list, right? It's after Iron Man. It's before Falcon and Winter Soldier. I give it an 8.8 out of 10. Like, it's just a great series, man. It's just freaking great. And that's without even seeing the finale. But I can't wait to talk about it next week. So, come on back. For sure. Maybe I'll split up this. Maybe I'll split this all up into segments. We'll have the review. We'll have the Loki breakdown. I don't really have a news spotlight this week. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. But now I just want to get to it. I need to talk about our film this week, In the Name of the Godfather, the Son of Odin, and the Holy Jedi, and that is finally Black Widow. Black Widow. Yes. And I will be trying to do it spoiler free. I'm not going to try to, I'll just give you my opinion on it, and that's it. I with the post credit, I will talk about that because I think it's fun to talk about that. So that's the only thing I will spoil. But I'll do that at the end. And so if you don't want to know, just kind of either mute it for a second, and then or whatever. Yeah. I just, I have to touch on things others have said. I've been seeing what other people think of the movie, too, and it makes me think about it. And now, having seen it, to make my arguments, because I don't always agree, I agree with actually a couple of things, but not everything. People, I mean, look, let's be clear, most people like it because it's fucking just too enjoyable not to, dude. That's the thing. But it's still so bothersome for me. This is like a thing that that people will literally just like purposefully rate shit negative on purpose just because they want to just because they're sick of something being. It's a real sickness in the human condition. Like we used to aspire to greatness, but now it's like somebody's fucking. It's like the whole Tom Brady thing, right? I'm not. I can't believe I'm relating this to sports a little bit, but like I'm not a Tom Brady fan. Like I was never a Patriots fan. I'm a Giants fan, okay? But I love Tom Brady, dude. That man is good for the sport of football. You know what I mean? Like, he's just great. He's the greatest of all time in the sport, and that's something to admire and aspire to. I'm not going to hate on him because he keeps winning. Do you know what I mean? But that is a thing that we do in society now. People will hate on things because it's good or great. Marvel is the biggest thing in Hollywood, and it has been for a decade. There are people who literally just rate the next movie just negatively on purpose because they just want to see one of them fail. Do you know what I mean? This is a thing, okay? Now, if you're that person, you're fucked up mentally somewhere along the way there. But that's beside the point, okay? If you never liked the Marvel movies, fine, okay? You just didn't like them. But even still, some of those people are just either it's a taste thing, or sometimes there's a lot of it that's just hating on it to hate on it because everyone likes it. Here's where I'm annoyed, and I've said it before on this show about things. If you're a Marvel fan, I know you're gonna say that I'm like pampering to it because I'm a big fan of it, but that's not. When you're a diehard fan of something, okay, and the filmmakers decide to put something out that's not exactly what you expect or you didn't care for it, they didn't betray you. This was the whole Game of Thrones thing that I talked about. You love this thing, but then a part of it's different. Not bad or really shitty or worse, or just different and just not what you expect. You hating on it, you're betraying the thing that you love. Nobody fucked you over. You need to chill. You need to chill, dude. You're betraying the thing that you loved. That's what my point with this movie is you can't stop cherry picking what you want this movie to be, okay? Because it's ridiculous, especially when it's not especially when it's just really super enjoyable like this movie is. Like, if it's good, like, but there's things that are like, why can't they just do this? Like, shut up, dude. Just shut up with that stuff. Let's stop with the cherry picking. That's what I don't like. Unless Marvel puts out something really fucking bad and it's obvious that it's really just terrible. That's different, dude. That's totally fucking different. In the meantime, no, shut the fuck up. One of the things people said was, it's a little too late. It's too little too late, right? Whatever the fuck that... Is it, though? Is it? This has been framed as a prequel from the fucking get-go. So the fact that it doesn't even take place in the current timeline means that it could have just as easily come out when it takes place in the timeline. So should they have? Yeah, am I sort of in agreement? Yes. Should they have released? Should they have just made this movie in 2017 after Civil War? Yes, 100%. Because it feels like an Infinity Saga entry. It does not feel in any way like a Phase 4 movie. Okay, aside from introducing Yelena, Red Guardian, Melina, those characters who we will probably see again in Phase 4 and forward. Aside from that, right? And aside from the post-credit scene, those are the only two things about this movie that feel a tiny little bit about Phase 4. But in no way did I think this is just a movie that's meant to set up stuff that's coming. No, dude. It actually feels like a movie from the Infinity Saga that we're just getting now. That's what it's supposed to feel like, and that's what it felt like to me. It in no way felt like it was just some setup movie. Okay? That's right off the bat. Did not feel too little too late. Should it have come out sooner? Yes. Does it really matter that much? No, it does not. So that I don't really get. I understand that COVID didn't help either, because it just pushed back a movie that we already needed to have yet another year. I get that. Totally understandable. But, and I mean, with all that being said, it really doesn't matter that much when we get this film. Like, that much. Okay? It's here. It's finally fucking here, and it didn't disappoint. It didn't really disappoint you. Even the people that are kind of... It didn't disappoint you. Let's be real about it. It was super enjoyable. The action-packed, full of poignant moments for Natasha and the characters that we just met. Scarlett Johansson is every bit a powerhouse, badass, and manages to be even more an embodiment of like this role model figure for young girls, for regular women, and for just kind of everyone. She's a hero. She's a hero for everybody, even more so because of this extra chapter in her story that we even get to have. We could have not even got this movie. Think about it like that, because her arc is finished. You know, don't forget that part, right? Right. It just, I mean, she's always great, Scarlett Johansson. She has embodied this character from the start, and it's just really just a fitting way to give her like a send-off. She gets her, just gets her moment to shine, where it's really about her for once. And I didn't feel like she was overshadowed either. She wasn't overshadowed by Yelena or Alexia or anything. It's just that when you think about it, we don't really need to dig any deeper than they dig into Natasha in this movie. Like her whole backstory and everything. Like, in terms of depth, it makes sense to me that the depth we get is what it is. It's good depth. I think any more depth is good depth. And here's why, right? Because this is not the first time we're seeing her. This is like, her arc is completed. It has been completed. It's been fulfilled. It's a very long arc over a 10-year period that came to a fitting conclusion and a final decision by her character in Endgame. This film is just, it's about spotlighting her. It's spotlighting a moment in Natasha's story that we just didn't get to see yet. We get to see an adventure that already happened, and that we're getting to see now. And it does kind of complete her story, because it just kind of fills in any questions we had. Think about that for a minute. Any questions we had have been answered in this movie. Like, what really happened in her past, did you not get those answers? I did. I 100% did. It's all the depth we need. It's all the depth that we need. Could there have been more character-focused moments? Sure. But what do we lose if we get those moments? Think about that, too, because I feel like I'm saying think about that. Think about that a lot. We've had our deep, powerful Natasha moments in the MCU already. I think it makes sense to spend time with Yelena and Alexei and Melina. I think it actually makes sense, because knowing them deeply is what you do with new characters, first of all, but also knowing the people who shaped Natasha into the person she is, that also adds depth to her. So I didn't have a problem with us digging into, like, who these new characters are, because they're, we are who we know, too. Like, the people who shaped us and raised us, and that just adds even more backstory to who Natasha really is, too. I think, knowing her family deeply. And yes, in the process, we come to give a whole lot of... Does it help? I don't think it harms in any way that we actually give a shit about these characters, Yelena and Alexa. Like, we can't... Like, they're awesome characters, dude. Awesome characters. I mean, Yelena was... This is my favorite character. I can't wait to see this character, dude. Yelena is so fucking... Florence Pugh is so fucking good. So funny. So funny. The funny moments in this were all her, man. Like, touching, super touching moments with her character. I can't wait to keep watching this character's arc now grow, because you know that they're setting her up to be the next Black Widow. This theme of family is at the center, but also the theme of, like, sisterhood. Like, the whole dynamic between Natasha and Yelena was just the best thing about the movie. That's where we get our most poignant moments, was between the two sisters. David Harbour is a fucking scene stealer as Red Guardian, 100%. Is it a bad thing, by the way? No. It's hard for me to complain about anything. I'll tell you the one thing that I didn't like. I didn't care for Taskmaster, the villain. I just thought that the character was completely underutilized, and again, I'm talking about underutilized characters like we talked about President Loki. It's just that here's a character that is plain and simple, just brainwashed like any other widow, but there's just a little more backstory to this one because it has a direct connection to Natasha. But that's fine, actually. That helped the character, but what really didn't help was that there was less... I just didn't feel like the character had her own agency, really. There's a lack of screen time for the character, and a lack of actual character development, I guess. So it was almost non-existent. It's like the character is such a wild character in the comics and everything. Like, I feel like we didn't really get to see what Taskmaster, the real Taskmaster, what Taskmaster can really do. Like, with the whole mimicking of moves and everything, we got like a brief glimpse of what the potential of that is there. But it is a must watch. It is a must watch fucking movie. I mean, and at the end of the day, I had such a fun time there tonight. The theater experience, when it's like that, it's packed. Okay, just being in a theater again. Kevin Feige came by and like kicked off the movie for us at the Chinese theater. He came out and fucking said hi. That was fucking unexpected. It's gonna save the box office. Here's the Marvel films have owned the box office for the last decade. Now it's going to save the box office from COVID. I mean, my theater was packed to the gills, sold out, and other theaters will be too. So when people complain, it's foreign to me. If you never liked Marvel, okay, but if you do and you're complaining, post-credit scene, dude, so fucking good. This post-credit scene. This was supposed to be so Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, blah 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 blah, Contessa de Allegra, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who we first got to see in Falcon and the Winter Soldier this past year. I mean, recently, right? Her original first appearance was supposed to be in this post-credit scene because this movie was supposed to come out first, right? We got that post-credit scene. She knows Yelena at this point, and it's a setup. It's a setup for Hawkeye, and I knew that Yelena's next chapter, the next chapter of her story, is in Hawkeye. She's in Hawkeye, and I forgot until I watched this post-credit scene that she's actually in that. I totally forgot about that. I remember seeing the casting for it, but I forgot. And yeah, dude, I can't wait to see her again. I'm like, damn, when do I actually get to see her again? And it's fucking actually really soon because she's in that. And I'm over here thinking like Obi-Wan when he tells Luke, so what I told you was true from a certain point of view, because fucking Valentina totally plays that card here, making Yelena think that Hawkeye was in some way responsible for Natasha's death, therefore giving Yelena reason to go after him, I guess. It's heavy. And I guess the only question I actually really have is, where have some of them been? And did Yelena and Alexei, did they get snapped away by Thanos? I do want to know that. Because do you know what that does? That adds even more depth. Again, I can't seem to use another word tonight. It's just what's at the cusp of my brain, so I'm just going to keep using it because it's easy to just pull from whatever's right there. When I'm talking about depth, I'm really talking about just the, development of the character, just the layers of a character's moments and arc and everything. That's what I mean. And again, Jesus Christ, can't get the words that I'm trying to actually say out of my fucking mouth. But think about how powerful Natasha's moments actually are in Endgame. That's, by the way, like, aside from, that's like her best moments, like her best movie. That feels like a really good Natasha movie too, is Endgame, especially with what happens and her decision and every. But the fact that she was leading people in that movie felt like a really driving force for decision making and everything, and her growth and we feel her pain and like just all those very touching moments with her character. Think about how it would give all those moments more depth, and her really wanting to fucking bring everybody back. And when she's talking about bringing back family and all this, she's really talking about everybody. She's talking about both of her families. It would really be powerful shit. It would add more depth to those moments if she was also talking about Yelena and Alexei and Melina, who also probably got snapped away, just like the rest of her family. the Avengers that got snapped away and that they were trying to bring back. I mean, just to think like that, there was probably a whole nother layer to her pain in that film. So I do want to know if they got snapped away, because it would be a really good decision on the part of writing to do so, to have it be mentioned how they were actually snapped away, like many others. When that big bold purple bastard snapped everybody away. Go check this out, man. You gotta watch Black. Who's not watching Black Widow? You know, who's not? Look, was it the best Marvel movie? No. Was it the worst? Absolutely no way, dude. Actually, for me, best female-led superhero movie. Better than fucking Wonder Woman. And you know why? Because Wonder Woman still did the thing I don't like. It rose all the stakes to fucking, like, oh my god, end of the world. They didn't ground Wonder Woman. Not really, if you think about it. It still turned into, like, her needing to save the fucking universe at the end. This was a very grounded, personal, families, the themes of family, that's all of it, dude. I don't know what there is to complain about. This is, it's right in the middle there. For all the MC movies, it's right in the mix. You know, it's one of their better films, and yeah, I can't wait to go see it again. Get a little stoned, too. I always like to do, like, a second screen where, like, I get a little stoned. Yeah, that would be cool. And now for the rating of this one. I think this is second best female-led Marvel storyline. I think WandaVision is the best female-led Marvel storyline so far. So this is right after that. And that's where I put it, too, in my list. Is right after WandaVision. With an 8.5 out of 10. Because it was really, really fucking good. It was really good. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. You got a problem with it? You come talk to me, and we'll sit down and we'll hash this out. What do I know about running a restaurant? I come in, I order food, I sit down, I order food. What do I know about running a restaurant? Zero, nothing. Wrap up this episode. Let's wrap this up with our segments and yeah, let's get into our speed round. Or whatever the fuck. I need like a title for what I call the end of this. There should be like I don't know, whatever. Let's do the next episode of Behind the Camera. And this week, I thought I'd talk about something in the realm of filmmaking that's kind of worth talking about. Like, just kind of something that's revolutionary right now. Something that has been talked about and will continue to be talked about and has been brought up many times, but I just don't think some people still aren't actually aware of it because maybe they didn't watch where, you know, there was the whole documentary on the making of The Mandalorian and everything. But this is really something. It's cool. It's really, really huge. So, Lucasfilm is known for its inventiveness, especially when it comes to visual effects. They always find new and interesting ways to achieve important goals in filmmaking. They have done this recently with The Mandalorian. If you haven't seen the hit series, I'll break it down for you just how innovative this new technology they have harnessed really is. It's called stagecraft technology. Instead of filming at multiple locations, photography works much more efficiently. Sets are built, but they are all done in studio along with a huge LED screen, specifically designed to project the entire background of every scene and every location filmed for the show. This is a marvelous new form of filmmaking because it really merges pre-production, production, and post-production into one in a lot of ways that just kind of make it less expensive, less time consuming. They can change whatever they need to each day before filming, combining the LED screen with various set designs, all done in what they call the volume, the space where filming is done. What's more interesting is they can change elements of whatever is projected on the screen. Maybe the sun needs to be more centered, or they need to add some detail to the specific area. They can all do this right on that screen. It can all be done whenever needed. Leave it to the Star Wars universe to once again change the game in cinema. Expect to see this technology used by others as time goes on. It has since been rumored that Taika Waititi, director of one of the episodes of The Mandalorian, plans to use stagecraft technology at times during the filming of his next Marvel Studios film, Thor: Love and Thunder. One thing is for sure, the wait for The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be brutal. But luckily, we have some stuff to hold us over before then. Book of Boba Fett is next. Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, dude, I think that comes out much sooner than you think. Like literally December, which is not that far away. I can't. That's wild, man. I think Jon Favreau has directed maybe a couple episodes of it too, or at least one episode of it. Our question of the week. Last week I did the Spider-Man one. I'm gonna just do one this week that I've kind of already done, but it fits with the theme of the week and everything. And I never made a post for it, so it gives me a chance to do that. And people who maybe didn't see the episode can get involved in the conversation on Instagram and everything. So, once again, I have to ask, who is the most badass, kick-ass superwoman of all time? And Natasha is still my number one. That's why this was a great movie experience for being such a big Natasha fan. But I mean, Diana's still great. Don't get me wrong about Wonder Woman. It's still a great movie. Still a great character. Gamora's a great character. We talked about Hit Girl last week. Hit Girl's a great character from Kick-Ass. There's some awesome fucking superwomen out there on the screen. So who you got? And then we'll do my recommendations this week. And I've been recommending a lot of the stuff that I've been watching. And I can't tell you how fucking good this next one is that I'm going to recommend. And it's been circulating. And I'm not like a huge anime guy. And by that I mean I don't watch anime. But I had to watch this because it just people kept... And I can't even believe how masterful this fucking series is. That every episode has just kind of topping the next, just keeps topping itself. I'm just blown away by it. But so you have to watch Attack on Titan. It's on Hulu. There's a couple episodes in Japanese, but I actually love that. I wish I could do like every other episode in Japanese, but I think now going forward they're all in English. So for those of you who don't like that, you're fine. It's only 2 episodes that are in Japanese. Doesn't matter. It's fucking great regardless. It's just fucking fantastic. It's so masterful, and you need to watch it. And it's really fucking wild, man. Holy shit. It really is. I didn't have a movie recommendation because, I mean, I do, but I'm not watching anything that I'm not watching for for the episode. So I'll recommend something that I watched a few years back that kind of fits. It made me this movie, Black Widow, made me think of this movie because there were similarities, and it's worth a watch if you're bored. But Red Sparrow with Jennifer Lawrence is an interesting enough film to check out. It's not that good. It's not that, it's not anything special, but it's definitely worth checking out. And then I got the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood novel. I've been updating on it constantly. It's out. Tarantino wrote this novel version of the film. He was actually writing it this way to begin with. He was writing this for years, this novel, and it happened to become his 9th film. As time went on, it was like, okay, I guess this is the next movie, because they just started to work out that way. But he still planned on the novel always being a thing. He sometimes turns some of his ideas into plays. I'm curious to see what else he's gonna do, man, because I know his actual film career is ending the way he wants it to end. There will only be one more film, but he's gonna do things because he's a fucking artist. I'm an artist. Give me a fucking tuba and I'll get you something out of it. Yeah, you name the movie. Can you? I even gave you a little movie quote there. And then go check out. Go read the book version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I bought it and I definitely recommend. And yeah. So as always, got a shout out to the patrons. They got their merch drop. They deserve it. They're the best. You can get it too. You can get the next merch drop. You can get shout outs on the show. You can get early access if it's all on the Patreon page. By becoming a patron at patreon.com/preacher. My patrons right now are the best. Billy Thomas and Jessica Murphy. And Michael Morganti, and Doolin Morganti, and Tijan Construction, and Linda Morganti. They are the best, okay? They are the best. Follow the show at Screen Preach. Definitely. We have a lot of fun on there. We're just keeping up with things on there all the time, Follow me personally if you want. That would be at DeBenji. Because that's my name, too. That's my name. Benji. My friends call me Benji. My friends. Yeah, it's late. Or early, depending on how you look at it. Let's wrap it up. Subscribe to BMS Studios on YouTube. This is where you get the weekly episodes and everything else. Any of my content. And you want to definitely visit my website, BenMorgantiStore.com, if you want to see my actual work. It's on there. But in the meantime, it's been fun. It's been real. Great episode. Really, really good movie. And yeah, it'll be fun when we do more Marvel ones going forward. We're going to have more TV recaps going forward. Come back next week for the last of the Loki recaps. Shang-Chi's in September. That'll be fun to talk about. But otherwise, thank you for watching, listening, all of it. Good night. Good night. Have a good week.